Shadows twist where whispers grow. The edge of light begins to flow. A world unseen through fractured glass, where futures meet the echoes past. Step closer now, the veil is thin. A riddle starts where dreams begin. The experimental medium calls your name. Nothing here will be the same.
Welcome to another thought-provoking episode of Experimental Medium, where we delve into the hidden dimensions of ancient spiritual practices that continue to fascinate and inspire. Today, we invite you to join us on a captivating journey as we explore the rich tapestry of pre-Roman Iberian spirituality and mediumship. Before the Roman Empire extended its reach across the Iberian Peninsula, the lands that we now know as Spain and Portugal were home to the Celtiberian and Iberian peoples who possessed an intricate and deeply spiritual culture. These ancient societies practiced a form of spirituality that was profoundly connected to the natural world, their ancestors, and the divine realms that they believed lay beyond the veil of the visible world. In this episode, we will uncover the secrets of these ancient beliefs, shedding light on how the Celtiberian and Iberian peoples engaged with the spiritual dimensions that surrounded them. As we embark on this exploration, we'll focus on the spiritual traditions of the Celtiberian and Iberian peoples before the Roman conquest reshaped the cultural and religious landscape of the region. We'll delve into their animistic worldview, where spirits and deities were believed to inhabit the mountains, rivers, and groves, creating a sacred geography that intertwined the physical and spiritual worlds. These cultures saw the universe as a cyclical and relational entity, where humans, nature, and spirits were inextricably connected. Mediumship and spirit communication were not only central to their religious practices, but were also vital for maintaining harmony and balance between the seen and unseen realms. By the end of our journey today, you'll gain a deeper understanding of how these ancient peoples lived in tune with the cosmos, honoring their ancestors and seeking guidance from the spiritual world. Imagine for a moment a time where the boundaries between the living and the dead were permeable, and the spirits of ancestors were considered active participants in the lives of the living. This was the reality for the Celtiberian and Iberian peoples, who practiced ancestor veneration and believed in the ongoing influence of the deceased on the world of the living. Their funerary rites and rituals were elaborate, designed to support the spirits in their journey and ensure their benevolence toward the living. The role of spiritual specialists, such as seers, diviners, and prophets, was paramount, as they acted as intermediaries between the human and spiritual worlds, providing insights and guidance through trance states and divination practices. Throughout this episode, we will explore the fascinating rituals and practices that define their spiritual landscape, from offerings and sacrifices to seasonal festivals and vision quests. Join us as we unravel the legacy of these ancient practices, examining how the Roman conquest impacted them and what elements have persisted through the ages. Discover how modern movements are seeking to revive and reconstruct these ancient traditions, breathing new life into the spiritual practices of the past. So sit back, relax, and prepare to be transported to a world where spirituality was an integral part of daily life, interwoven with the cycles of nature and the rhythms of the cosmos. By the end of this episode, you'll not only have gained insight into the spiritual beliefs and practices of the Celtiberian and Iberian peoples, but also have a newfound appreciation for the depth and complexity of pre-Roman Iberian spirituality. Did you know that some of these ancient practices have influenced modern-day rituals and festivals? Stay tuned to find out how these timeless traditions continue to resonate in our world today. Before the Roman conquest reshaped the spiritual landscape of the Iberian Peninsula, the Celtiberian and Iberian peoples held a profound animistic worldview that deeply intertwined their daily lives with the natural world around them. This animism was not just a belief, but a lived experience where every element of nature, be it the rustling trees, flowing rivers, or towering mountains, was inhabited by spirits and deities. These natural entities were not distant or abstract, but were seen as integral components of the environment, each possessing its own spirit and agency. For the Celtiberians and Iberians, the land was alive, teeming with sentient beings that could influence human affairs. This perspective fostered deep respect and reverence for nature, as every aspect of the environment was considered sacred and deserving of honor and worship. The spirits were believed to inhabit specific natural locations, such as groves and springs, which were often the sites of rituals and offerings. These rituals were not mere formalities, but vital interactions meant to maintain harmony between the human and spirit worlds, ensuring prosperity and balance in the community. The spiritual tapestry of pre-Roman Iberia was further enriched by the integration of Celtic influences, which merged seamlessly with indigenous Iberian practices to create a unique cultural synthesis. This blend was not a simple overlay of one culture onto another, but a dynamic interaction that led to the development of a distinct spiritual identity. The Celtiberians, as their name suggests, were a fusion of Celtic and Iberian peoples, and their spiritual practices reflected this dual heritage. Celtic deities such as Lugh, Bandua, and Nabia were worshipped alongside indigenous Iberian gods, each bringing their own attributes and domains to the pantheon. Lugh, a deity associated with sovereignty and skill, Bandua, linked with war, and Nabia, connected to waters and healing, exemplified the diverse and multifaceted nature of their spiritual beliefs. Such deities were not only worshipped but were considered active participants in the life of the community, offering guidance, protection, and blessings. This integration also extended to practices such as divination and augury, which were common in Celtic traditions and became central to the spiritual life of the Celtiberians. Through these practices, spiritual specialists interpreted the will of the gods and spirits, advising on matters ranging from agriculture to warfare. The melding of Celtic and Iberian spiritual elements created a rich and vibrant tradition that was deeply communal and intimately connected to the cycles of nature and the cosmos. This spiritual synthesis not only enriched the cultural identity of the Celtiberian and Iberian peoples, but also provided a resilient framework that allowed these traditions to endure, even as they adapted to the changing political and cultural landscapes brought about by Roman influence. In the fascinating tapestry of Celtiberian and pre-Roman Iberian spirituality, the cosmos was perceived as an intricate web of interconnected realms, each playing a vital role in the spiritual and daily lives of these ancient peoples. At the core of their belief system were three primary realms: the living world, the ancestral realm, and the divine spirit world. The living world was a place where human communities thrived in close harmony with the natural environment. People lived side by side with the rivers, mountains, and forests, each considered to be imbued with spiritual significance. The land was not just a resource, but a living entity, resonating with the presence of spirits and deities. This realm was the stage for human life, where day-to-day activities like agriculture, hunting, and social gatherings took place, all under the watchful eyes of the spirits that inhabited the natural world. Beyond the living world lay the ancestral realm, a dimension populated by the spirits of the deceased. Unlike modern conceptions of the afterlife, the ancestral realm was not a distant, separate place, but rather a close and accessible dimension. The spirits of ancestors lingered near their living descendants, offering guidance, protection, and sometimes, if displeased, causing trouble. This realm was integral to the cultural fabric, as the ancestors were actively involved in the lives of their descendants, influencing familial and communal matters. Burial practices, such as cremation and elaborate funerary rites, were designed to honor these spirits and ensure their peaceful coexistence with the living. Offerings of food, weapons, and ornaments were placed in graves, symbolizing the continued bond and reciprocity between the worlds of the living and the dead. At the highest echelon of their spiritual hierarchy was the divine spirit world, a realm teeming with deities, nature spirits, and other ethereal beings. This world was not segregated from the earthly realm, but was interwoven with it, manifesting in sacred groves, springs, and mountains. Deities like Lugh, Bandua, and Nabia, alongside nature spirits, played pivotal roles in shaping the destiny of tribes and clans. These divine entities were considered custodians of natural forces and were invoked during rituals to ensure prosperity, fertility, and protection. The divine spirit world was a source of wisdom and power, accessed through mediums and spiritual specialists who acted as intermediaries between the human and divine realms. The cosmology of the Celtiberians and Iberians was characterized by its cyclical and relational nature. Unlike linear conceptions of time and space, their worldview emphasized cycles of life, death, and rebirth, mirroring the natural patterns observed in the environment. This cyclical understanding fostered a sense of continuity and renewal, with each realm connected through reciprocal relationships. The living maintained harmony with the ancestral and divine realms through rituals, offerings, and ceremonies, ensuring the balance of cosmic forces. This relational cosmology was not static but dynamic, evolving with the seasons and the rhythms of nature. It underscored the importance of maintaining equilibrium between human actions and the spiritual world, a balance that was crucial for the survival and prosperity of their communities. In summary, the cosmological beliefs of the Celtiberian and pre-Roman Iberian peoples were a sophisticated system of interconnected realms, each contributing to the spiritual and practical aspects of life. By examining these realms, we gain insight into a culture that revered its ancestors, respected nature, and sought to live in harmony with unseen forces. This cosmology was not only a reflection of their understanding of the universe, but also a guide for living a life in tune with the cosmic cycles and the spirits that inhabited their world. Seers, diviners, and prophets held significant roles within the spiritual and social fabric of Celtiberian and pre-Roman Iberian communities. These individuals were not merely practitioners of esoteric arts, but were indispensable guides and advisors who bridged the gap between the earthly and the divine. Seers, often regarded for their ability to perceive beyond the ordinary senses, played a crucial role in interpreting the will of spirits and gods. Their insights were sought for decisions ranging from personal guidance to communal matters, such as warfare and agriculture. Diviners, on the other hand, specialized in the art of divination, which involved reading signs and omens. This could include observing the flight patterns of birds, interpreting celestial events, or even examining animal entrails. Such practices were deeply embedded in the culture and were seen as ways to navigate the uncertainties of life by aligning human actions with divine intentions. Prophets, particularly women, were revered for their ability to enter trance states and deliver messages from the gods. These messages often came with warnings or instructions that could steer community decisions and ensure harmony with the spiritual realms. The presence of these spiritual specialists highlights a society that deeply valued spiritual insight and saw the unseen worlds as integral to their existence. The use of trance states in spirit communication and prophecy was a profound aspect of pre-Roman Iberian spirituality. Trance induction was a method by which individuals could transcend the limitations of the physical world and access higher realms of consciousness. This was often achieved through chanting, drumming, or ritual intoxication, which altered the state of consciousness and opened channels for communication with spirits. In these altered states, mediums could deliver prophecies and convey divine messages to their communities. The ability to enter such states was considered a gift, often passed down through generations or honed through rigorous spiritual training. It was not seen as an isolated practice, but rather a communal event, where the insights gained would benefit the entire tribe or clan. The practice of entering trance states underscored a belief system that acknowledged multiple dimensions of existence and emphasized the importance of maintaining a dialogue with the spiritual world. This communication was not merely for personal enlightenment, but was often directed towards ensuring the community's well-being and prosperity. Thus, trance states were a vital tool in the spiritual toolkit of pre-Roman Iberian societies, facilitating a continuous exchange between humans and the divine. In exploring the rituals and spirit communication of the Celtiberian and pre-Roman Iberian peoples, we delve into a world where the natural and supernatural realms were deeply intertwined. Rituals played a crucial role in these societies, acting as a bridge between the physical and spiritual worlds. One prominent practice was augury, an ancient form of divination that involved interpreting the will of the gods through the behavior of birds. This ritual was not merely a mystical endeavor, but a vital part of decision-making processes, influencing everything from agricultural activities to warfare strategies. The flight patterns, songs, and even the types of birds observed were believed to convey messages from the divine, providing guidance and foresight to the community. Offerings were another significant aspect of spiritual communication. These could range from simple gifts of food and drink to more elaborate sacrifices of animals or valuable objects. Such offerings were made to appease deities, honor ancestors, and seek their favor or intervention. Seasonal festivals were also integral to these spiritual practices, often tied to agricultural cycles and the changing of seasons. These festivals provided structured opportunities for the community to come together, celebrate, and collectively engage in rituals that reinforced their spiritual beliefs and cultural identity. The rituals and spirit communication practices of the Celtiberian and pre-Roman Iberians were not isolated events, but were deeply woven into the fabric of their daily lives and survival strategies. For these societies, spirituality was not a separate realm, but an essential part of existence that influenced every aspect of life. The cyclical nature of their cosmology meant that rituals were performed regularly to maintain harmony and balance between the physical and spiritual worlds. The practice of augury, for example, was not confined to special occasions, but was a regular part of decision-making processes, reflecting a worldview where divine guidance was sought in everyday matters. Similarly, offerings and sacrifices were not just acts of devotion, but were seen as necessary exchanges to ensure the continued favor and protection of the gods and spirits. Seasonal festivals, while celebratory, also serve practical purposes by marking important times in the agricultural calendar and ensuring community cohesion through shared spiritual experiences. This integration of ritual and daily life highlights the profound connection the Celtiberian and pre-Roman Iberians felt with the spiritual world, a connection that reinforced their communal identity and resilience in the face of external pressures and challenges. The Roman conquest of the Iberian Peninsula marked a significant turning point in the region's spiritual landscape, as it brought about profound transformations to the pre-existing spiritual practices of the Celtiberian and Iberian peoples. Before the Romans, these communities had a deeply rooted animistic belief system, where spirits and deities were believed to inhabit natural landscapes, and the cycle of life was intricately connected with the spiritual realms. The arrival of the Romans, with their pantheon of gods and structured religious practices, presented both a challenge and a shift in the way spirituality was perceived and practiced. The Roman influence began to assimilate and suppress these indigenous traditions, as they introduced their own deities and religious customs, often building temples and altars over sacred sites. However, this contact wasn't entirely one-sided. There was a degree of syncretism, where local deities and practices were integrated into the Roman framework, leading to a unique blend of religious practices. The Roman gods and goddesses merged with local deities, creating hybrid forms of worship that retained elements of the original spiritual beliefs. Despite the overarching Roman influence, many of the original practices persisted in subtle forms, continuing to influence the cultural and spiritual identity of the region. The transformation was not just religious, but also social, as the Roman emphasis on state religion and public rituals reshaped the communal and tribal aspects of spiritual practice, embedding them into a new socio-political structure. In the modern context, there has been a resurgence of interest in these ancient spiritual traditions, driven by a desire to reconnect with the past and revive the rich cultural heritage of the Iberian Peninsula. This revival is part of a broader movement seen across Europe and the world, where indigenous and pre-Christian spiritual practices are being rediscovered and reconstructed. Modern movements, often under the umbrella of Celtic revival or Iberian neo-paganism, seek to bring back the old ways of connecting with nature, the ancestors, and the spiritual dimensions that were central to the Celtiberian and Iberian cultures. These movements emphasize the cyclical nature of life, the importance of natural landscapes as sacred spaces, and the role of spirits and deities in guiding human existence. They often involve the reconstruction of ancient rituals and festivals, using archaeological findings, historical texts, and oral traditions to piece together the practices that were once prevalent. This resurgence is not just about spirituality, but also about cultural identity, as people seek to reclaim and celebrate their ancestral roots in a world that is increasingly globalized and homogenized. By reviving these traditions, modern practitioners aim to restore a sense of balance and harmony with the natural world, echoing the values and beliefs of their ancient ancestors. The legacy of the Celtiberian and Iberian spiritual practices continues to live on, not just in the rituals and festivals that are being revived, but also in the way they inspire a deeper connection to the land and its history. As we bring this enlightening episode of Experimental Medium to a close, let's take a moment to reflect on the rich tapestry of pre-Roman Iberian spirituality that we've unraveled together. We've journeyed through the landscapes of ancient Iberia, where the Celtiberian and Iberian peoples fostered a deeply interconnected spiritual existence. This episode has allowed us to glimpse into a world where the natural and supernatural were seamlessly woven together. An era where the land, its spirits, and the ancestors who walked it before us were revered as integral parts of life. These cultures held a profound belief in the animistic nature of existence, where every mountain, river, and grove was alive with the presence of spirits and deities. Through their practices of mediumship and divination, they sought guidance and wisdom from these unseen realms, creating a harmonious balance between the human and the spiritual. This deep-seated spirituality not only shaped their daily lives, but also influenced their understanding of the cosmos and their place within it. The legacy of pre-Roman Iberian spirituality extends far beyond its historical roots, leaving an indelible mark on the present. Although the Roman conquest sought to assimilate and suppress these indigenous traditions, the essence of their beliefs endured and evolved. It is fascinating to see how elements of ancestor veneration and spirit communication have persisted, subtly weaving their way into modern practices and festivals. The Celtiberian and Iberian peoples' connection to their ancestors and the spirits of the natural world offers us timeless lessons on the importance of maintaining a spiritual bond with our environment. As we navigate through our lives, it becomes ever more crucial to honor the wisdom of those who came before us and to recognize the sacredness in the world around us. Their practices remind us of the cyclical nature of life and the interconnectedness of all things, urging us to live with respect and reverence for the mysteries that surround us. As we conclude this episode, I encourage you to reflect on the spiritual connections you hold with nature and your own ancestors. Consider the ways in which these ancient practices might inspire you to foster a deeper sense of harmony with the world around you. Whether through quiet moments of reflection, engaging in rituals, or simply being present in nature, there are countless ways to honor these timeless traditions and integrate their wisdom into your own journey. Thank you for joining us on this exploration of pre-Roman Iberian spirituality. Your curiosity and willingness to delve into these ancient practices are what make our journey through history so rewarding. We are grateful for your support and enthusiasm, and we hope that today's episode has sparked a newfound appreciation for the spiritual richness of the past. As we part ways, remember the words of the philosopher Marcus Aurelius. Dwell on the beauty of life, watch the stars, and see yourself running with them. May you carry this spirit of wonder and connection with you, wherever your path may lead.
Whispers creeping through the haze, shadows dance in twisted ways, echoes hum from worlds unseen. This is where the strange convene. Step into the unknown mind, secrets hidden, twist and bind, truths that linger in between. A voice that stirs the silent night, guides you through the fading light. Journeys deep beyond the real, where unseen forces are revealed. Step into the unknown mind, secrets hidden, twist and bind. Truth that linger in between. Welcome to the spectral stream. Electric sparks and haunted tones. Reality's edge becomes your home. Questions rise like fragile smoke. The uncharted realms silently spoke. Step into the unknown mind, secrets hidden, twist and bind. Truths that linger in between. Welcome to the spectral stream. Electric sparks and haunted tones. Reality's edge becomes your home. Questions rise like fragile smoke. The uncharted realm